That will be a big dream to, hit the slopes over there. But yeah, that's
You can go to Whistler.
yeah.
It is the tourist place, but I promise you will have more fun at Big White.
That's what I'm thinking. I'd rather go to maybe the more local places.
Yeah.
Have a bit more free space.
Yeah, Big White's busy. It's like the inland. Whistler's north of Vancouver. Big White's east of Vancouver.
Right. I remember that Big White.
Yeah.
Well, I think Anthony shared with us that his favourite holiday destination, or at least place that he's visited, was, and he often has the cap, right? Is
the snow.
Oh, you said New York.
Oh, New York. Yeah. Well, it makes sense. I went to around Christmas time, and it was snowing, so that was awesome. But there's nowhere to snowboard up there.
Right.
Not anywhere near.
Yeah.
We're just doing a few intros, Hannah. So Hannah
Hi, Jeff. Nice to meet you.
You too, Hannah. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
We've got every point of the country covered now. Hannah's up in Brisbane. So.
Oh, nice. My old stomping grounds. Wow, Gold Coast.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm always driving down to the Gold Coast. It's only 40 minutes.
Yeah. I went to school. Well, I was just telling Ben, actually. 11 years ago, I first came to Australia, went to school at Griffith.
Oh, okay. I had a friend that went to Griffith.
Yeah. Is Emily at Griffith?
Yeah, she is.
She is.
Yeah, she was Rutgers and now Griffith.
Yeah.
But Emily can't join us today, so we'll put her on the record. We've got the record going, Hannah, so yeah, just no swearing from you. Or actually, in fact, you're not the one we have to be mindful of.
I don't ever swear. What are you on about?
That's right. No, you don't. As I said, you don't. We don't have to worry about you. In fact, given we've got it on recorded, we're the only ones that are going to say we don't really have to worry about necessarily. If someone really does want to swear, then you feel passionate enough, you can, I guess. Ben sometimes does.
Yeah, there we go. I was waiting for that.
Yeah.
Where are you located, Jeff? Again,
I think Melbourne. Yeah.
You're in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And originally from the US?
Canada.
Canada, okay.
Well, Hannah could have easily said that you, Jeff, are based in her old stomping grounds.
Ah.
Yeah.
Me?
Are you from Melbourne?
You're from Melbourne originally.
Oh, yeah. I am.
Yeah, so she
I
often
let
the Queenslanders know that she was actually from here. It just gives her a little bit more sophistication, I think. Yeah. Well, I think that, but then I'm a wide-eyed kid from Perth, so I don't know if Ben, when I first came over here, I literally did think Melbourne, was kind of wow. There was a little bit of an awestruck factor. The longer you're here, you kind of realize actually.
They're all different. Even apparently, there's a Melbourne accent and a Queensland accent, and I got pulled up on it all the time when I moved.
Yeah. My girlfriend's from Northern Queensland, so she gets.
I got pulled up all the time.
Very Aussie up in Queensland.
And more nasally, I think. Is it more nasally,
more
Jeff?
Slang.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Slang and get the nasal going.
Coming from the US, we stopped over in Brisbane to get to Melbourne, and it was just embarrassing. I was like, it's just not what we sound like.
It's all the country people, I think, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, let's segue because I think you've got another presentation that you're giving later today, Jeff, as well. But thanks everybody for jumping on. As I said, I just let the other guys know that we're having a second chat. Well, actually, in fact, I think this is our third date, Jeff. The first one we went, the safety of numbers. I went to a Zoom and made sure there was a few other people. Jeff came along and had a listen. You would know, Anthony. Remember, Jeff was there and Hannah as well on this when I presented, right? So,
yes.
And so Jeff was introduced to me by Daniel, who we used to do some. In fact, I always still get his Vimeo. I'm still on the back end of his Vimeo, but he's a videographer. And so Jeff was introduced by Daniel. Jeff came along to the presentation. We said we were going to catch up, and we did that this week as well. And the reason I was particularly keen to speak to Jeff I think Jeff told me why he was keen to speak to us, but as well. But really, from our perspective, as Anthony knows, and to some degree, Hannah, you'd be aware too. You know, with the likes of say a Hannah Intimates, you know, the bamboo one that we had, and then with Tony now, who has a much higher spend on their ads than they do on our management. And so then they have a much higher expectation on their conversion and sales from those ads. And so, you know, I was really keen to let you guys see and have Jeff share with us, because not just from a Facebook ads, but then there's all sorts of other pay-per-click type options, as well as then your Google search and that sort of stuff. So there's the big gap that ReachLocal feels that we don't do, you know, because our structure isn't set up to do it that way. So yeah, Jeff should have showed me a little bit of back end, but I think he'll give us a little bit more today. But is that a fair sort of overview of how we sort of came to chat? And as I said, so yeah, I'm pretty excited about the fact of the timing of it, to be honest, Jeff. I've had a second person of today that actually said, oh, well, if Tony doesn't want to be a case study for it, I'll be a case study. So I've got somebody else I want to put onto you, to be honest. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's great to hear. And yeah, pretty much bang on, Steve. I mean, there was a couple of reasons why I asked Daniel if he had someone who manages socials. The biggest reason is in the Melbourne office here. Well, first off, how much do you guys know about ReachLocal before I continue?
I'd start from scratch.
Yeah, not much at all.
The biggest thing about us is we're actually owned by the USA Today network, but our focus has always been, and will most likely always be, local businesses, local community. So we have Australia and New Zealand, our service team being in New Zealand, and majority of our business is SMBs. So we have clients ranging from a small Facebook website clicks campaign up to, you know, $1 million in spend a month. But the biggest thing about us is we get to run our books like our own business, which I love. So I partner with people that I want to partner with and look to, you know, utilize their skills as well as hopefully they utilize mine. So the main reason I did contact Steve in that note is because a lot of here in the Melbourne office, we don't really have an affiliate to a degree where we can look for their support on social management. So someone helping with Facebook, Instagram, even LinkedIn, which Steve, I need to ask you about at some point today. So that's why I contacted Steve. We need some support, but on the other side of things, our main focus has always been pay-per-click campaigns, reach search, we call it, SEO. We do a lot of social, Google Display Network, and I'll go through some of the products in a minute. But that's kind of where we are at the moment. So why don't I just jump into the first thing I wanted to show you guys was our strategic partnership program. So how we kind of work, and then some of our products in there, and then I'll run through some of the one of our back end system that I think Steve really enjoyed.
Yeah, and what Jeff didn't let you know is that he's a bit of a super sales person. So make sure you keep your hands in your pocket, otherwise you might be buying straight off him.
No,
you told me your top. What is it? Your top in the office, 25 or something. How many people? You've had a good year, is what you said, I think.
Last year I had a very good year. Yes.
During COVID, that's good then.
Well, yeah, there was 25 new starters that started last year, and I topped them.
Wow.
So I was happy with that. Let's jump into this. I love Whereby, the fact that I can look at the same screen, see you guys and my screen that I'm working on. It's great. So.
And even if you do that as a slide, as a presentation, you probably will lose the capacity to see us, but we can still see you. And so don't sort of, make sure you stay tidy. But yeah, and you can still do it as a presentation.
Yeah. So yeah, our strategic partnership program. The biggest thing about us is what we're looking for when I say affiliate program is we're looking for someone we can pass business back and forth with. The biggest reason we do this is majority of the business that we actually bring in these days is based around some sort of strategic partnership. May it be an affiliate program or a reseller program where we can either co-brand or white label our products for our clients. The beauty of that is we call them frenemies. It's just increased, like we're getting out to more people. We're able to touch upon and help and assist other digital agencies in what our expertise lies, and hopefully they can help us in theirs. We find that that's the most useful because, with us, the whole point of why we were purchased by the USA Today Network was because of our back-end system and our abilities to do conversion-based optimization. Everyone talks about it, but we actually have it. That's the beauty of it. And when we were bought by the USA Today Network, they introduced us to 3,500 search campaigns in the US, and we improved their cost per lead by 27% in the first 6 months. So that's where our technology comes in. And then the next step, and I'll show this on a separate slide, is where we're looking at our reporting system. So one thing, Steve, and jump in if you want, mate. When I was showing Steve yesterday, I think it was yesterday.
True. Don't be asking me. I feel like I've pulled an all-nighter.
Yeah. When I showed Steve, he really liked the back-end platform because he was able to see you were able to see pretty much everything on there in full transparency of how well the ad is, the campaign's running, or campaigns. And we'll go through that shortly. Now, just a bit more about us. So we were founded in 2004. We're across 5 different continents. We have 8 offices in Australia and New Zealand, currently running 2.5 million search campaigns across the world. 87 billion plus search impressions and 115 million phone calls for clients, so leads. One of my favorite statistics for us. We're also a Google Premier partner here in Australia. We're we're the Microsoft Elite Channel partner for 2021. That I need to put the new one on that one. And then we're a Facebook partner here in Australia, but in the US we're a technology partner as well. So we work with them across the board. Some things about us, like some of the things that how this program works is we're just like referring clients back and forth so we can help each other out. On the affiliate side, it is transparent. So we like to say, I'm from ReachLocal, you're from Do It For You, and we work together to help improve their cost per lead or whatever we're trying to accomplish together. I'm going to skip over a couple of these things.
One of you, Anthony. A little bit fairer though.
One of the key things that we actually focus on is we want to make sure it's fair, of course. So we have a tiered commission structure as well that we work on. And I'll just skip straight to that now because we'll walk through becoming an affiliate. But this is what we usually do for all of our affiliates as well. So anything when they're spending, I don't know if you guys work like this as well, Steve, but for us, we work on a cycles base, not a monthly basis. So 28 to 32 day cycles. So if a spend within that month is below 25%, we're usually giving back to our affiliates 5%, and then it tiers up to 15. And then just our overall product mix. So when we're looking at this, we do have site capabilities, but majority of the time, like I told you yesterday, Steve, we like to look to outsource some of that. And the reason we do that is we do have the capabilities, but it's usually it's not our main focus. SEO is obviously a main focus of ours. We have a team of 8 right now sitting in New Zealand focused purely on SEO. Our search campaigns consist of Google and Bing. I've actually just launched my first Bing only campaign today. And the reason why I did it is because business loans has shot up 3 times in search volume in Melbourne in the past month. Just a nice little fact. We focus on targeted display, so at GDN network as well. Total live chat. So we have 2 different types of products on Total Live Chat. We have a bot capability and a live agent capability. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Gmail ads, but they're going to be obsolete as of June. They're coming up with a new product. Google has a new product coming out then. We have some DCS services, display creatives, and we can also do videos as well. But majority of the videos that we do, I usually would go to someone like Daniel, who introduced me to Steve. And then we have Edge. So that's what I would like to get to next. Any questions so far, guys?
Nah. So far, so good.
Yeah. Pretty straightforward. Like, I'm not going into too much detail, hopefully. I want to share my entire screen.
Do you have maybe the only question I think immediately is around the types of examples of some of your frenemy. Friend and enemy. I mean, is this a certain? I mean, you were talking. I mean, is Daniel an example of that to some degree? Maybe, I don't know. But some of the businesses that you actually have that sort of working relationship with, is that?
I'm not sure which ones I can, because we do a lot of, when we go into the reseller program, we do have NDAs that we sign.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me find out one.
Yeah. No, that's okay. Yeah.
Give an example. One I can talk about. So Daniel's an affiliate, right? So open and honest, transparent, that we are working together with Daniel and Visual Production Agency.
Sure.
Another one that we have partnered with is NAB, actually, where we partnered with NAB. It was an 18-month vetting process. We finally got the deal late last year, and we launched it in October or November last year. So I'm not sure if you guys have seen that at all.
There's not much difference between Daniel and NAB, but anyway, there's a good scope right there.
Yeah.
Daniel's not too far from me. He's in Essendon, and I think he's in his office. There's probably a couple of others that help with him with his business. Yeah, it's a good business. He's a good operator, Daniel.
He's great. I called him yesterday. I introduced him to another photographer as well that could potentially help him out. Sweet. And they met yesterday. He called me yesterday, but then he was just like, I think I'm dying. He had a cold or something going on.
He's only got married in the last 12 months, so lucky for him, because a good time to get married before COVID, I guess.
No, and
I think they've got a baby. Is the baby on the way, or has it happened yet? No, it's
couple
on
weeks,
the way.
I think.
Yeah, right.
Couple weeks. And
COVID baby. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
I need to go and catch up with him, clearly.
Definitely. So here's our on NAB. So basically what we've done here is we offer a free digital health check for any of the 350,000 small businesses. Those small businesses, if they do the health check and they say, can you give us a call to explain this? It gets passed to us and we call. And then usually we have different packages that we range in there for the NAB clients. There's kind of our packages. So this is social. So we're just doing a website clicks campaign. Be found. So that's search. We're just doing a Google AdWords. And then reach is a mix, social and AdWords campaign.
So they're confusing our clients, right, by calling ads social. Anyway, but that's all right. I feel like I almost need to move my business to NAB, I must admit. There's two banks that are sort of Melbourne and two banks that are Sydney. I think NAB is one of the Melbourne ones. Maybe it's NAB and would it be NAB and Westpac, or maybe Westpac's even Sydney? I wonder which
Westpac.
one. Do you know that? NAB is definitely Melbourne, right? Because hence the footy connection with Auskick and everything.
Yeah, like NAB and Westpac, their big head offices are downtown, right?
Yeah, and there's good co-working. You know that if you're a NAB business client, right, so no matter what your size, you pretty much can go into NAB head office and just kind of book space and use it like a co-working, right, just basically.
Yeah.
I might have to shift if this progresses. Okay. I've been with CommBank, I think, ever since they gave me a little piggy bank, so I think that's the issue. Right?
I haven't stopped with CommBank since I first got here. I've been with them for
Anyway.
mainly because it was the easiest way to transfer money back 10, 11 years ago.
Who are you with, Ben? Like, in WA, that's the other thing. It used to be R&I was the big bank, and that I reckon that's changed hands a dozen times. I don't even know who it sits under nowadays. Bank West, right? So who owns that?
I'm Bank West.
Who owns Bank West, right? So that's where WA, like, just a bat above, do it themselves. They got HBF and Bank West, the West Australian.
Yeah, but Bank West is, I think Bank West is owned by Commonwealth, if I'm not mistaken.
Is it now? Yeah, well, that wouldn't surprise me, but it's you guys are, everything is like one team town, and then Freo came along, but just about everything is one team town. Anyway, sorry, Jeff.
That's all right. So yeah, that's just an example of that's our biggest partnership. obviously. So having NAB
of course, it's awesome.
Yeah.
What involvement have you had with that one? Have you had any involvement with that one?
So I'm on the test team. So what I've been involved in is handling the clients that have come through. Basically getting them on something basic like this, or the beauty of it is once I start actually discussing with the potential advertiser, we talk about what they need, right? Like when I'm going through a sales pitch, or I'm trying to discover what I'm going to pitch this client, or if even any of these packages are worthwhile to them, I'm asking them a zillion questions along the lines of, what are you looking for? What do you want to focus on? Where's the business growth? What's your capacity? Any of these questions that I'm going to be able to use to come up with a proper strategy for them. And majority of the time, these packages are too small, especially when you're asking the right questions. So that's what I focus on. And the beauty of these tests, the being on the test squad, is, you're getting some nice leads through as well.
Of course. The other thing is, just a little bit of just so you know, have you heard them ever talk about Tiger Pistol?
No.
So Tiger Pistol, I reckon 5 or 6 years ago, was a social media technology / marketing company led by a guy called Steve Hibbard, right? So you can imagine there's a little bit of, and he's from here as well, but then they went and kind of became a Facebook marketing partner, and so he was in San Diego. He's now sold out of it, and he's no longer involved, but Tiger Pistol were a NAB partner about 5 or 6 years ago. So it sounds like they may no longer have anything to do with Tiger Pistol. But Tiger Pistol, just so you guys know, very Facebook ads, very, very Facebook ads. And creative. So Facebook ad creative, and Facebook, and all about sort of software that helps you create the creative. Yeah. So anyway, I just wondered whether that had come up, because NAB were definitely supporting them. I remember going to an event very early days when I was involved.
Yeah. No, actually, I haven't heard of them. So with this deal, my boss here in Melbourne, Nicole, she's the head of the partner channel for ReachLocal as well as runs our office. So she's a very busy lady, but she's the one who lined this deal up and got it across the line. And it took, she says 18 months took of back end checks and checking our platform and how it works and that it all is up to snuff and everything like that. So it was painful, she says, very, very painful. But let's take a look at the platform. So this is what we give. This is Reach Edge. Basically. Reach Edge is our paid for backend platform. And then we have a basic version for clients who don't want to use all of its capabilities called Client Center. You'll see in this that this covers all of their digital, but our Client Center only covers the ads itself. So search, socials, whatever it may be. If I click into the inbox, so I'm sure you guys use a CRM of some kind sometimes.
High-Rise.
Use High-Rise. How do you guys like it?
I love it. I'm rusted on because I actually don't have it anymore. It was a product of Basecamp, so it's a project. Basecamp's the project management, and then High-Rise is the CRM that's associated with it. When I say I love it, it's just because no one else can get it anymore, right? So it's a legacy product now.
Oh, yeah. I remember using Basecamp at one point.
Yeah, it just because it's blended in. So the only reason, as I said, that I've got High-Rise, when I say I love it, it's just, you know, when you become just rusted on, it's a bit like Hootsuite. It's just you become rusted on because it's inertia, not wanting to learn and have to change to something else, probably. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe love's the wrong word. I appreciate it. Maybe is a better word.
Well, this acts like a CRM when you have Reach Edge, to a degree. Now, it's not. You're not pulling reports on the sales that are coming up or changing them from prospecting to first meeting and then deal or verbal commit or any of those things. This is basically using it as a tool as to who's going to contact which one to be plugged into your CRM. So when we're looking at this, this is, like I said, Edge, so it covers all bases. You can see this is through our search campaign. And when you click on it, you can get actually a full breakdown of what was said in that form submission from the website. You can add notes and also add tags, and then you can share it, delete it, archive it, or mark it as a favorite or whatever you need to do. The other cool thing about this is this actually records calls as well. So we mask the number on the website. Anyone who clicks on let's say the AdWords campaign and they call in from the mask number on the website, we can actually record that. So this is where the transparency comes through as far as, I do work with a lot with solar companies. I used to sell solar, so I actually help their sales guys by listening to their calls, and then I work with them on their pitches.
I once had a solar guy in Melbourne ask me, look, I want to spend $1,500 a month on solar. Solar Facebook ads, can you help me? And I'm like, and I looked at their solar setup and I'm like, really? You want to spend it using that platform? Oh, I can't help you. And at that stage, I didn't know you, Jeff. I wish I did. I still know him. I have his details, so I wonder what he finished up doing. I actually pointed him to Tiger Pistol. As it turned it out, and he goes, "Oh, they sound expensive." I said, "Yeah, they are, but that's what you're after."
Yeah. What was if you don't mind me asking, do you remember the company name? Because I'm guaranteed I've called them.
I just remember he's Danny, and you'd remember him. I think it was Danny, and he was he was from the UK, and he's based in sort of Port Melbourne, around that way. He was a real geezer, right? He was literally, Ben, you'd understand, right? In terms of, he was literally a mover shaker. We're going to make... Come on, Steve, how much are you going to get? How much can you be? So like, I don't think we're your company. So, anyway. Yeah.
The weird thing is...
But I would know. I'll send you, at some stage, I'll let you know. I'll be able to look it up in our CRM. Hi, Ross. So,
the weird thing is solar right now, end of 2019, we were sitting at anywhere from $30 to $60 cost per lead from a lead ads campaign for solar. To today, since COVID, it's jumped to between 150 and 200.
So is that good or bad?
Very
what do
bad.
You say? Very bad.
Cost per lead.
Cost per lead. Yeah, got you. Yeah, right.
So we're seeing quite a considerable jump in the CPLs across the board for solar. There's a company I have a couple solar companies here. Right now they're sitting at about 200 cost per lead. And then in WA, they're sitting at 155, but their spend is about 30 grand a month with us right now. So they're not. Wow. It's just the way the industry's going. Solar is becoming a bit of a pain. Anyways, so yeah, you can listen to all the calls, and that's where I jump in and usually help out with some of the clients. And the reason why I do that is because they'll say the leads are crap. And then I'll go on there and I'll call one of their solar leads and I'll close it and tell them you just suck. So get better or increase your budget to get more leads. And I can hold them accountable, but they can also do it to me, which does happen from time to time. We also like to add TLC, total live chat, so you can get the full breakdown of how the chat went, and then see how well our chat services are doing. We have like I said, we have two different versions of that. We have a bot version, which is usually just on a subscription basis. So you're paying for a certain amount per month. And then we have a lead basis where you're paying anywhere from $300 up to $1,000, and you pay $15 cost per lead off the top. So this actually gives you an idea of what's being said within that.
This is more advanced than what I was looking at. I'm starting to feel like an accountant, but it's good to know. But the thing what you had, as you said, that you had the list of around the FB ads sort of posts as well, right? So, which we're moving towards, I reckon.
Yeah. So, when you're looking at, you can start breaking down into the campaign itself. If it likes to go.
How much do you go into detail with the clients that, and does it depend? As I said, with our clients, we're either a second month report or every month reporting. What sort of reporting do they get, and what sort of detail and what sort of conversations do you typically have?
All clients have access to this.
Yeah.
whenever they want, 24/7. They have their own logins,
Okay.
create everything themselves. When it comes to my interaction with my clients, I interact probably more often than I should, but our back-end team will contact anyone who's spending about 2K or more, 2,000 or more a month with us. Will be contacted every month with a full report. And then from what we call foundation tier, so anyone under 2K, we send out, in the first 60 days, we'll spend at least one meeting every month for the first 2 months, as well as reports. And then after that, once we've kind of maintained a level where we've optimized campaign and it's stabilizing out and everyone's happy, but they don't want to spend more, well, you can contact me anytime you want. However, we're going to send you a full report every 3 months, every quarter. So I tend to talk to those smaller clients more often than I talk to my bigger ones, truthfully, mainly because smaller businesses, they like to be more hands-on, right? But it depends on what they want as well. If they don't want me to talk to them, I have clients who I've never even spoken with. They were grandfathered over to me from someone else. I've tried calling, they don't want to talk to me. That's okay, keep spending whatever money you want with me. I can do. So in here, you can get an overview of all the campaigns that are running for each client. So in this case, this is just our demo account. We're looking at search campaign. We have Facebook boosted posts, which we don't actually do, so I don't know why it's on the demo account. Site retargeting, and then we also have a second SEM campaign, search engine marketing campaign. Within that, you can actually click into each of them. And this, I'll show you from one of my accounts, one of my clients who doesn't mind when I show people theirs because it's running very, very well. But this will give you a breakdown of everything that's going on within the campaign itself. The other great thing about this is you can use it to see contact activity. So this will give you time of day when you're getting majority of the contacts. Once it loads, it's very slow. Internet is slow today. Because it's Friday.
Looks like you're in the office today, is that right?
Yeah, I'm in the office. Yeah.
Where is the office?
Abbotsford.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we're going to Moondog in Abbotsford in about 2 hours.
That's a brewery, isn't it? Moondog has a pale ale. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite breweries. So in the contact activity, you can see exactly when you're being contacted majority of the time. And the great thing about this tool, this allows us to one, show them where gaps in their strategy are, but two, allows us to pinpoint on what type of products we need to help focus to add to the strategy. So in this case, for example, if this was a business that was open from 9 to 5 and they're closed down, but they're getting quite a few contacts at between 6 and midnight, I'd be looking at total live chat. And the reason for that is because then they have the ability to actually keep contact and engage those people who are actually looking for someone to talk to. Works well for dentists, solar companies, works really, really well. Does not work great for wineries, purely on the fact that people ask tasting notes. It's very tough to script tasting notes. But the other great thing is I can look at what we need to do if we need to, let's say, have the ads running at specific times. So we can look at their busiest time is from 9 to 5. Okay, great. Well, there's our time where we're running these ads, especially for something like emergency dental. 9 to 5, we run that, and then we shut it down from 6 to 9 a.m.
Actually, I asked for dentist today in my BNI. Just as it turned out, yeah.
Where are you?
Yeah. I know the BNI was in person at Docklands this morning, but one of the guys I was speaking to this week has the booking system for for medical and healthcare type clinics, that sort of stuff. And so I figured if I was going to look at that sort of thing for him, then I might as well sing out both for that software, appointment software, but also the type of person that he wants to work with. So hence I hadn't asked for dental for a long time. But I mean, they're exactly the sort of ones that would tend to think advertising first before any sort of social media management or content. They don't tend to think like that, right? They just think still from an advertising basis, I think, potentially, right? So, yeah.
Oh, I do have quite a few dentists, and you are right for majority of dentists. One in particular that I work with, I'm going to show you here in a second. He's another reason I contacted you, Steve, is he has been asking me how he can work on his socials. So I said, hire someone, but I'll find you the person. So just give me a sec here. I'm just logging into my own account.
It's the first time I've seen the Italian flag in the background.
Yeah, I had to move.
Oh, that's right. You're in a different location.
Yeah, because my girlfriend needs to get changed, and she has her own room for her clothes. So I'm in there on a meeting. She can't do that.
Particularly one that's being recorded.
Yeah.
This is one of my live clients at the moment. So we'll just go into what I wanted to show you here. So we're currently running 3 different campaigns for him. Wisdom Teeth, Cosmetic, and General. The Wisdom Teeth is actually running fairly well. It's under $20 a lead at the moment. Same with the General. Is running just under 20 as well, cost per lead. So majority of my dentists, that's what they focus on. You're right on that case, Steve. They love the fact that, hey, where's it at? What's my spend? What's my cost per lead? Things like that, so we can determine a return on investment. A lot of them like to fight me on the fact that their own clients will click on their ads sometimes, and you can't filter that at 100%, but you can work on that. So this is what you see when you're looking at the campaign itself. So 11,000 impressions, 488, and 123 leads from this campaign in the last 30 days. Full breakdown of calls or web events, as well as where it's coming from, mobile, desktop, tablet. And then this is the part that I think, Steve, you enjoyed the most.
Is this a Google ad or a Facebook ad?
This one's Google.
This one's Google, yeah.
Yeah, but I'll show you Facebook shortly. So you get the daily spend, impressions, clicks, CPC, click-through rate, calls, chats, emails, web events, all under one roof. And you get it on breakdown from day to day. A lot of clients, they don't care too much about that, but it gives us an opportunity to show them some of the data, especially when we're in such peaks and troughs like this. I can say to him directly that his spend is too low for something.
Who created the content for the ad?
In this case, it was us. We created we came up with them with the keyword listings. I work on that, and then it goes to Will, my back end. It goes to him. He's the guy I work with on this campaign. Mm-hmm. He created the actual ad itself.
Do you take advice from client and sort of work with that for instance, when we're working, we're pretty much guiding what we, often we're telling them, you can't promote that, right? So this is what we suggest we'd want to do. Do you take that on advice and then kind of work around that?
Always. Like I said, like when I first start talking to someone, my first instinct is to find out what they want to promote, not necessarily tell them. So I'll work with them to ask them a zillion questions. What do you want the focus to be? And then I take that information, I'll do some research, take a look to see what's going to be bringing them the most value, because I'll also ask them straight out, if you bring in a client and they need to have their oil changed, how much do you make off that? $100, $50, $20? Okay, great. If it's $50, now I have a standard. So if I'm focusing on oil changes for the mechanic down the road and he's spending $1,000, I need to get a minimum 20 sales from this campaign for him to break even on it. Then of course you can go into the fact that, this is, if you do a good job, that'll be continued business and da 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 da. However, at least I have a benchmark. I'll show you quickly here. We stopped the social campaign because it wasn't bringing in quite the cost per lead that we were hoping for. All right. So when we're running social campaigns, you'll be able to see exactly what's going on with the standard stuff: impressions, clicks, cost per click, click-through rate, CPMs. But then we do link clicks, check-ins, contacts, page likes, post comments, post engagements, post reactions, and post shares, and be able to track it all on a day-to-day basis.
Is this sort of like a little bit like HubSpot? Do you know HubSpot?
Yeah, to a degree.
Similar?
Very, very similar. The Reach Edge program, with anyone over 2,000 with Edge, we give them it for free if they're spending $2,000 or more. Or if they're doing SEO with us, we give them Edge for free. Other than that, if someone wants Edge, we charge $99 a month for it.
So for you, in terms of, as you said, because it's all encompassing, just out of interest, so if you're using ReachLocal, can you schedule from here? Can you schedule posts from here or no? As in, your day-to-day scheduling, like we use Hootsuite, but as Hannah just raised HubSpot, you can actually use HubSpot to schedule posts as well.
No,
you can't.
Our back-end team would do it.
Because realistically as well, it's the difference is, the other major difference is that this is all pay-per-click stuff too.
Yeah, I was thinking HubSpot like the CRM.
Yeah, no, HubSpot is the CRM. No, it is. You're right. It's a CRM / but it's and similarly with Keep, right? Or Infusionsoft, same, right? They're a marketing, sales, and CRM platform, right? So and ReachLocal,
we're building towards that, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
Everything we still run on the back end is run through our old, still running on our old platform.
From our perspective, that's actually preferable, right, realistically, given that we're not a partner or anything of HubSpot, but that's what we put everybody on. Not HubSpot, Hootsuite. That's what we put everybody on. So realistically, if their ads is separate and run out on a different platform, which is reporting, it's actually probably preferable that then we're keeping it. Then they kind of understand, well, actually, that's not what we're necessarily doing on a day-to-day basis compared to the other one, right? So.
Yeah, like everything we do on the back end, we have our own overlay for over Google and over Facebook and everything like that. And then the plan is to migrate this and have it all connected, because right now it's a bit separated. And then we'll be able to post the ads through here and everything like that.
Sure.
So yeah, that's the platform.
How is it integrated then? So for instance, in terms of the straight away, Anthony and I have a client at the moment that we think this is would be a great sort of working first off type project, right? So we've got a meeting with him this afternoon that I told you about.
Yeah.
But how is it that how does it integrate with the website and the actual socials themselves? So I'm assuming that's a tech question, right? But realistically, I'm assuming you have to integrate the web or landing pages and the socials somehow into this, so that you're actually getting all the data that you're getting, right?
We just put our own script on the back end of the website.
Right, and that then speaks it through, right?
Yeah, that speaks everything through that we want to track.
Yeah.
So we can break down tracking from a simple, like our standard tracking is calls and web forms, but then we can go into more intense if we want to look at different UTM strings, if we want to focus on, like, if there's a specific bookings page that they get to, or even if it's just a thank you landing page from someone purchasing something, we can track that specifically.
Yeah. Yeah. So what the Jeff and I were speaking about this the other day, and you guys have probably heard me say it as well. So the reality is, we know at the moment, we can be getting thousands, if not tens of thousands at times, people going through website. But at the end of the day, we have no back end, we have no script, and we have no keys to people's websites, right? So what they do once they get to the website, they then need to tell us right? So, for instance, Ben's got a cleaning guy in Perth, and I think I might have told you I tell a lot of people about Ben's client in Perth as far as the cleaning guy, right? But it's busy as love my guy Ben, for instance, So that's kind of how we get our feedback around that what we do is working, and he's just doing a nominal ad spend with Ben's then marketing, content management, a bit of sharing to groups, that sort of stuff, right? But yeah, ultimately we need that sort of feedback from our client rather than being able to get a report like this. We give them a report, right, that says how much people are being reached and how much ad recall and engagement impressions, clicks to website because of the flares, but we don't have the end data, which is form completion, phone calls, whatever else you might measure through what you're doing here, yeah?
Yeah, and the basic way that it works. So, for example, is we put a mass number just over the phone number that's on the website. If it's an 03 number or a landline number, we don't charge anything. But if their termination number is a mobile number, then there's extra charges that come on top. But in standard, this platform, if they're not spending anything with us, they can still purchase it for $99 a month. Then it gives them all the reporting that they want, that they wish for. But if they're spending, like if they wanted to look at AdWords, some other products like targeted display or Google Display Network, even wanted to look at running some of the higher end socials, if they want to look at us doing it, anything over $2,000, I can give this for free.
So does anybody, I guess probably back to that question I was asking before, but just, because to me there's a bit of, for us, I would see, and I don't know, Ben, Anthony, Hannah, you can feel free to jump in, but a little bit, there's a bit of song and dance for, I'd want to do a blog or a bit of a PR piece around the fact, what we might be doing, because it does plug a gap, right? The idea being is that now we have this capacity to do that. So I'm just wondering whether you've got sort of affiliates that are along those lines where effectively you're kind of selling each other in and showing each other off. And clearly, as you can see, the fact that we would be dealing, me and Anthony here in Melbourne, but is that okay in your organisation? I think you mentioned the other day you have Queensland clients and Sydney clients yourself, but in terms of just organisationally, always happy to have you tell Nicole how awesome the meeting with Ben, Anthony, Hannah, and Steve was today. But how does it strategically sort of line up? Is it sort of a Jeff and Diffy sort of thing, or is there some sort of catalyst benefits elsewhere as well, for how we get involved?
Yeah, majority of it would be through me. If, let's say, for example, Hannah, you pull in a client and they want one of us to go see them, I would recommend Paul, who's up in Brisbane. He lives in Shaler Park, which I know is not the best area in the world, but he would more than happy go out and see you and help you with the client, and then he can work with you on a day to day. Same in Sydney, in Perth, wherever. If someone wants one of our reps there, then we have offices all over. I'm more than happy to pass that lead over to them, and they can take care of it from there.
And they'll commensurate you in some way, maybe as well. But
well, they'll buy me a beer. I'll make them buy me a beer.
Nice.
But majority of the business stuff would come through me. As long as they're happy, I would more than happy to go out anywhere in Victoria. More than happy to do that. Or if they're outside of the state, then I can meet them online. And then it gives us, the other great thing about that and why I like doing it that way is, especially with guys like Daniel, yourself, some of my other affiliates that I work with, a lot of them in foreign exchange, we understand how each other pitch, so we can work off each other as well.
Yeah. Well, these guys know that realistically, I don't do any projects, or I very rarely do any projects by myself anymore, right? So I'm generally involved with Ben or Anthony or Hannah or Adrian, or, so the team member realistically. So we support one another in that way. And as you said, and in many ways, what you just mentioned is good, because I think it would often make sense for Ben if we were talking about a relationship. So Ben would talk about his lady or fella that he's speaking to, that he met through yourself or whatever the case might be, because we're all part of, as you've come and seen, right? So we'd be wanting to sing and dance a little bit around the fact that, if you want to talk to us about pay-per-click stuff, hey, we can help you around that because we've got a relationship along these lines, right? So however we can build upon that, I think. In the same way as you've said a couple of times, right, is that those people would then be going, hey, I've just met somebody in whatever suburb you mentioned in Brisbane, and they'd be able to straight away think, okay, well, who's that closer to, Emily or Hannah? Maybe, I don't know, or who is it more? Hannah and has a subject. Hannah's kind of our health, wellness, and fashion sort of. So those sort of industries often. Anthony will more go into sometimes more the sporting side of things too. So sometimes it can be alignment of subject, not just locality, but more often than not, locality is a key thing for us, right? So
yeah, and even here in Melbourne, like I have a great support team here. There's about 10 of us in this office. So one of them, we have Nicole, who's the director for Victoria here. We have majority of our partner channel is here as well. And then there's a few of us like myself who work in direct and partner. So, and then there's Ursula, who actually is one of our, she's one of our product gurus. So all the new products coming into play. We just launched Google Shopping late last year, and she's the one who brought that into the company, figured it out, worked with different partners around the world who have that capabilities and have helped us to get to the point where we can handle it ourselves as well. So there's a full support team if we need it here as well as anywhere pretty much you need, unless you're in like Ayers Rock or something. I don't know if we can help out there.
Surely you can. Beautiful. They got a magnificent outdoor cinema in Ayers Rock. Magnificent. Or not out Ayers Rock. Alice does, not Ayers Rock. Yeah. Any sort of helicopter view comments around the screen? Ben, any thoughts?
Nothing from me, for one.
Yeah, that is unusual. That's true.
Yeah, nothing from me for once. I'm pretty okay with everything that was just said. I don't have any queries as of yet.
And do you guys, just quickly, do you guys see, Steve has told me he can see some value in potentially that, what we have and how we could help each other out. Do you guys think you got some clients who would look for something like us?
Yeah. I think like being able to do all of it on the one place is so beneficial, and yeah, you can offer all the different types of marketing. Yeah, I hear heaps of people that want this or like this together. So being able to offer it all, I think, yeah, for sure.
Okay, because that's good to hear. First off, the true goal, and if Steve wanted to get there, is what I would like to do is start off as affiliates, where I'm referring clients to you guys, my team up, hopefully bring you in, Steve, at some point, talk to my team as well about what you guys do so that they can refer clients to you. And then when we get to a certain point, we can look at co-branding as well.
But do you have, as I said, in terms of that's so for me at the moment, Facebook ads sort of sits at the bottom of our management, right? Management planning. What I'd sort of see it moving to is basically, being probably its own landing page that sort of then just talks about, look, next level, this is what we do for those sort of clients that are after that. And then, as you mentioned, each of us have had exposure to those sort of clients, right? So we're well aware of what those ones often look like. They're probably our 20 to the 80, but they do come, and unfortunately, because they are the 20 to the 80, in the past, we've probably had a number, but because we haven't been able to offer this, we lose them, because they think they want something, they go looking for something else, and that's fair enough, because as I said, it does go beyond our skill set realistically.
Yeah, and just to kind of backtrack a bit as well, when we're looking at the products, when it comes to Facebook socials in general, like we do across obviously Instagram and Facebook, but within Facebook, we have a few different product ranges as well. So as you know, there's you can pick website clicks, engagement, conversions, anything like that, but we have mainly 4 that we use on a pretty much daily basis. when we get into lookalike and retargeting, which I think, Steve, you were mentioning that you guys don't really touch on just yet.
I think that's the thing. Yeah, that's where we don't price ourselves to be able to go into that market. So, I've spent enough time looking at Facebook ads so that I know what I know, and I know what kind of areas that I've not played in, even though I could. But it's just because of the way we price ourselves, I haven't, right? So I just don't. So realistically, this is why, for those people that are just, that $5 a day doesn't cut it, then this is where I sort of see, as you said, those more retargeting, custom audiences, lookalike audiences becomes, custom audience for a 90-day website isn't hard to do, and that's something I would talk to Tony about, Anthony, right, is that we just put in that custom audience. We can try that, right? But again, it's sort of giving them a little bit, it's almost sort of saying, oh yeah, well, we'll give you this little part now, right? So I don't think it's not it's not a solution realistically, because it doesn't solve the problem is that we still don't get the form access, and you can only control what you control, right? Control the controllables, and we don't control that. So ultimately, so I would have no way of knowing your form completion.
Yeah, we track that individually as well. Like even with a lead ads campaign, we're still tracking everything that's going through. Just someone entering the simple contact information, but then we can track them if they click on the website link and go to the website.
So his cost per lead, he had 4 in the month that he shared with us. His cost per lead was $250, and basically that was for 4 over a fortnight. So essentially, that gives you a bit of an idea of what he was spending on King Kong one. So there's $2,000 straight away on a cost per lead campaign, right? We aren't spending anywhere near that. In fact, I would say since the whole time we've been running it, Anthony, we probably we'd be lucky to have spent double that, right? So I reckon we might have spent $500. So even on that paradigm alone, at best we probably would achieve only two. On that basis, that would be the result, right? If we were to perform as well as King Kong, we'd get 2 lead forms, right? But what we have done is completely reduced in terms of what he gets around other elements, around engagement and other things, is far less. It's all sub sort of 50 cents and 10 cents and 2 cents, depending on what we're campaigning around, right? So that's what we know. And even just flares to website, we know are much higher, right, for a far less spend. So anyway, that's why I was sort of saying a little bit before, where we can help them probably with their content to help them help you, help us around what they would advertise. But it's just this real hyper technical reporting and capacity to really drill down into testing and all that sort of stuff. We just don't do, right? I know someone like Ben, for instance, would probably like to do that sort of stuff, right? Potentially, right? But it's just in the way our model works. We're having, our model is such that we're trying to work to 15 to 25 to 35 clients, right? Realistically, you can't be doing that in this model, right? Where you're then all of a sudden testing and looking after, and that just doesn't play out right in the same way. So so it's not our model, if that makes sense.
No, 100%. I mean, and one of the hardest things I always wondered about was, without the type of platform like this, like you're going through that data by hand, right? So I'm trying to optimize and figure that out and get into those.
Oh yeah, we're very tradesman-like with our reports, but we need to be because of our clients. That's the only way. And even with a tradesman-like report, which means simple, keep it simple. Even with that, they don't read it.
They never do.
So
I'm with you on that one. Okay, perfect.
Cool.
Well, I guess that's kind of it for me. Actually, the one thing I did, this was the other thing I wanted to mention, Steve. And when it comes to the creatives itself for Facebook and things like that, we do rely on the client for them. Just to give you a heads up. When it comes to interest groups, audience, things like that, we're all over it.
Yeah, and that's fine because we guide them around all that stuff too. Like we're often having conversations, or sometimes they don't. Ben, for instance, talk about video for his clients. In fact, Ben will lead in for a couple of, for the projects that he's worked on, right? So we're all over, the imagery and the video and the way things should be written, whether it's post or ad. But then clearly from an ad perspective, this is what we'd be suggesting. But then if someone's sort of doing ticks and tacks in terms of testing, then we're, clearly going, one actually that springs to mind, Ben, remember when we were doing the Australian Christians and we had this whole thing, so that's a political party in WA, right? We had this whole thing around, because I often say, don't keep everything clean. I don't want any imagery over the top of the videos or the stills, right? Because generally people will read it in the post, or you got the call to action there. Now because effectively if you put a biblical verse or a quote over the top of a Canva type image, that's essentially Christian, for want of a better word, porn. But essentially they're just seeing what they want to see, right? So they do get engagement on that, right? But typically, particularly in the past, you couldn't even promote that. You're on a 20% max, how much of the screen can use text and all that sort of stuff, right? So I still have the belief that just because you can use font on and graphic across the top of text, it doesn't necessarily mean you should. But at the same time, I would also say that it's not something that we can say that we've tested over time, over and over and over and over again. And we've actually got an opportunity up in the Gold Coast as well, Hannah, for instance, where there's a company that's a graphic design company that's worked with over 4,000 businesses that's wanting to use this exclusively to repurpose the social graphics that they do for their clients, right? So that, again, if that's the case and you're talking to the graphic designer, then you don't go into an argument with them around how much graphic you should have or not have on a social media post, right? So anyway.
We can make recommendations, but they don't always listen.
Yeah, but in terms of preparing and having content for advertising purpose, we help our clients with that, right? Whether it's sourcing and I think you've said you can also do that, right? So
we do. We have our digital creative services as well, and then we have a video as well. But I usually, when it comes to videos and stuff, I'll outsource. Depending on the client, I'll outsource that to Daniel, for example.
Yeah, well, for all of us, so like Ben, for instance, I don't know which ones specifically Ben has for, but he's probably got copywriter. He's got, I know he's got web design developer. So there's all sorts of people within all of our individual networks that we have that we kind of will often be referring and speaking to people about to get a professional, result, right? You probably just become another layer to that.
Yeah, exactly. And even with that type of stuff, like I've been working on my own connections as well. So one of my major connections is through foreign exchange brokers. I work a lot with guys in finance because I used to work in finance. They handle clients from, I have one friend basically who handles clients who will do $1 million to $2 million in foreign exchange a year. And then I have one that's higher end where he does more 10 million plus clients in value per year. Just depending what they need. And then with web developers, app developers, those type of things, I have guys that are my go-tos. So
yeah, I don't know what others think, but I have my suggestion would be, by having this as an offering, it would also drag us up to a higher client at times too, right? Because we often, maybe because of the past, I figure I can help everybody. And by helping everybody doesn't necessarily always help the business and the type of client that you might get through the business, right? So we've got plenty of even recent examples where you can't help everybody. You know what I mean? Particularly if they're starting out or whatever the case might be, So this would certainly assist us move into certainly the more true small and even into the medium, I think, in terms of what we can do, because we're well aware that at those levels, they often still need our help, right? Or could do with our help, but they just probably don't know to ask, and they probably think that if they're not spending probably times 10 what we're charging, that they're probably not going to get the service they're after. Yes.
Sweet. Just one last thing, kind of give you an idea of the business we usually handle. On socials, we do have a minimum of 500 per cycle. And then when it comes to AdWords, we have an 800 minimum per cycle. The reason we do that is because we want the campaign to succeed for the most part, obviously. And to do that, you need to be up there on the minimums of that, and usually majority of the time that's not enough.
No. And just on that, so when you say cycle, is that 30-day cycle?
28 to 32 days.
Yeah, 28 to 30. Yeah. So let's say it's a 500 spend. That's 500 plus media / management, whatever it might well be. So how do you do that? In terms of, so someone's spending $500, or they want to spend $500 on their ad spend. How do you then, what are they paying then you over and above and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah. So when it comes to someone signing up for $500, we do a one-time setup fee of $200, mm-hmm. no matter the size of the campaign.
Yeah.
Then GST on top. Our margins are built in.
So already built in, right? So it's a bit like the TAB. If I spend money with you, a certain portion straight away going out to ReachLocal, mm-hmm. But the rest is going on the media spend.
Correct.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's all right.
Yeah. We just find it easier adding management costs. Like we have, there's a couple other guys we found that, they were adding $750. They were doing. He's doing socials for one of my clients, and I'm trying to steal it back from him. He's doing charging $1,500 a month, doing $750 spend, $750 management fee, and if it goes up to $1,000, he does $1,000.
The funny thing is, I hadn't really heard about ReachLocal recently of late, right? But I did hear people talking about you a lot when I first started out after I finished. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't remember whether it was good or bad, right? So Ben often asked me, "Who's King Kong?" Right? So anyway, but yeah, so one of the first things I did was just Google. You seem to have, from the reviews and that sort of stuff, you seem to be pretty well thought of in the market as well.
Yeah,
so.
We've put a lot of focus in the past few years on service. If you look at the best way to do is look at someone's comments, right? You look at our comments 5, 6, 7 years ago, and a lot of them are bad.
Okay.
The reason why is because reps were the King Konging. There was, running and gunning. They were also pushing a lot of the fact that they don't tell clients that they've put their auto renew on recurring, not just for the 4 cycles, things like that. They just misinformation to the client, and that caused a lot of bad reviews. The other thing is too, we switched from service team within each office into one office service team. So everyone is now, our entire service team, 99% of them are in New Zealand now. Mm-hmm. When we made that switch, there was a lot of bad reviews that came out because there was a lot of issues in the handovers and things like that. So in the past few years, our whole purpose has been service-based, making sure we're servicing the client, learning what they want and understanding what they do, and then how we can help their business grow. And without that, and with that, we've improved. We've gone from a 4.2 to a 4.6, I think we are now, stars on Google. And that's all. That's just been our focus for the past.
Is that Australia, New Zealand? Is it that I would have found? Is that or is it global?
You would have found the Melbourne office.
Oh, just Melbourne. Okay. Just one last thing while I think about it is that, when you went to New Zealand, because Facebook was in New Zealand, right? But then they've gone to Singapore, I think, now. And then you've got the ad spend is actually Ireland. But they were in New Zealand. I wonder if that was one of the reasons that attracted them to go to New Zealand. Do they still have offices in New Zealand? Do you know, Facebook?
I'm not. No, actually, I don't think they do, because we had a lot of their service guys come over to us.
Okay, so just as well, back in the day, they used to have a Facebook Go program, right? And the only way you could join that Facebook Go program is you had to be spending at least $750 a month.
Oh, wow.
So I did that a couple of times just to sort of get my understanding. But realistically, to your point of how much you kind of have to spend, that's how so whilst we know that, because there's no businesses that think along the lines of, well, if I spend $5, I'm still going to get a certain amount, right? But so that's our thinking, right? Because people aren't doing it. You might as well, because organic reach is tough. But realistically, as you said, to your point, even Facebook themselves, and that would have been back in 2012 or 2013, were probably saying that sort of $750 was their minimum spend to engage you in the program. You couldn't even be it. In fact, they had an answering machine, right, that said, "Have you ever done Facebook advertising before?" If you said yes, it actually said, "Thank you, goodbye." He said, "How much money are you looking at doing on Facebook advertising?" And it said, and it asked you, if over $750, press 2. If under $750, press 1. If you pressed 1, thank you, goodbye. So you actually literally had to go through the process and press the numbers to actually get on the program. So I literally had to say, no, I've never run ads. It was, anyway, just goes to show. But that sort of pegging mark is probably still pretty accurate. It also goes to show how much they don't really interested in working with the $5 a day either, realistically.
It's just like if you're gonna do $5 a day, go do it yourself. Because
don't do that. Speak to us. But I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
It's just when you're doing $5 a day, unless you're ultra focused, ultra targeted, and you're on that thing like there's no tomorrow. Like I can see struggles in it. When it comes to specific products and larger campaigns and things like that.
Yeah, we're relying on certainly following in terms of for the repeat business and that sort of stuff anyway. Anyway, looking at the time, we've taken up much more of probably than you may have thought, and probably with even these guys. I hope it's certainly made our. I need to take a comfort break because I've run straight into from bubbles into this, and I actually had two cups of bubbles in that time.
Well, look, thanks guys for letting me come out. Appreciate that.
Thanks for sharing.
Thanks, Jeff. That was great.
No problem. Well, hopefully I can be of help coming forward. Steve, I'll talk to you hopefully next week, and maybe we can get some things moving.
Sounds good. Awesome. I've taken a copy of this, so that's good for everybody. Sweet. I think.
All right, guys.
See you guys.
Have a great weekend. Yeah.
Bye.
Have a great weekend.
Bye.
See ya.